So you have a hypnosis client and you have given them an audio to listen to after your sessions. And the biggest question is, what is the best approach for clients who struggle to listen to these audios afterwards, even though they want to listen? It's one of these things where you have educated your clients as to the importance of their recordings, and they get it. But somehow they still struggle to find the time and continue with the commitment and the consistency to listen to the recordings. So I'm going to talk about this in two different ways. I'm going to talk to you about it in the client section, and also for you as a hypnotist, what you really want to think about when you have clients like this. And so, first of all, in terms of the client, if you really want to um, have your clients listen to the recordings that you have given them, then make sure that you have that conversation with them, right? Ask them what is stopping them from truly listening to the recording. Because maybe there are some knots there or some beliefs there, because obviously something is holding back from really listening to that recording, right? And in saying that, and by talking about it, you could potentially untie some old beliefs, some old patterns, some old conclusions or knots within their minds, that could potentially help you and the client as well to have an even more impactful transformation. So that's one of the things. Have these conversations with your clients, right? Have these open conversations with your clients, because if you're not, then you're not going to know what constraint you need to fix. And so once you have this conversation with your clients, and whatever answer or response they give you, that can tell you a lot, right? Sometimes it might be a time thing, right? It might be a time thing, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Or sometimes they might not like certain things that you said in the recording, because truth of the matter is, as hypnotists, we don't really know 100% for certain know what is going on in a client's mind and what exactly will resonate with them or not resonate with them until we actually ask them. So if you prepare a recording that you just wrote, or you are using a templated script that you use for every client with the same issue. For example, you have a main money block script and you're using that same shit for all the clients that you have, they're most likely not going to resonate with everything in there, right? And if they only resonate with a sentence out of, the 100 sentences you have in that recording, they're not going to want to listen to it, right? That's just the truth. And so you want to look at that. You want to explore if it is that, and if there's any way that you can help them to be more compliant. This is a good discussion to have, right? Don't be scared of this. This is good information for you. And based on that, then you can decide, right? So that's the first part about the client side. Oh, I'm going to add something else about the client side. And this kind of goes on top of the resistance thing, right? Also, if our clients are listening to someone who is not their voice, they're not just going to be as likely to be compliant, because as humans, we think we're the most important thing, right? Ourselves are the very most important thing. It is more likely for us to listen to our voices and our own suggestions before everyone else, even though we respect that someone else. Um, if they've already paid you, they have that trust and respect with you in some form or another. They're still going to be they're more likely going to listen to themselves, maybe in their voice, um, first before they listen to you. That's just the truth, no matter how much money you've paid them, right? Because we all do this as humans. We think we're right all the time. It's hard for us to admit that we're wrong. So for them, it's just a bit like that's also a main principle as to why there would be resistance to anyone, even the most compliant clients, right? Even the most compliant clients who are listening to the recordings, if given a choice, they would most likely listen to their own suggestions and own voice first. So that's that for the client side. And for the hypnotist side, really just talking to your clients will give you a lot of information. But here's really the thing that I learned about recordings, right? Recordings are really just conscious conclusions and beliefs, and symptom level things that that are not really going to help your clients rewire as much as you think it would be. And here's why. For example, you have a client and maybe they came to you because they want to be more visible. They want to be on camera, they want to be on social media for maybe their business, or they just want to put themselves out there more. And in that recording, you're talking about the cameras and going on video and how confident they are and what they might get out of that. Maybe they'll get more clients, maybe they'll get the reputation, maybe they'll have more money and be more successful. Those things are symptom level, right? You know that as a hypnotist. As a hypnotist, those are symptom levels. The reason why they're not putting themselves out there, they're not confident yet, they're not the industry leaders yet, or they're not exactly where they want to be yet, is because there's some unresolved unconscious thing. And if you just give them a recording based on the symptom level, then it's going to take you longer to rewire really what's inside, right? And so in your sessions, yes, you might think that, well, that's what the session is for, is to rewire the whatever the deep issue here is. But if you've already rewired the deep issue here, what's the need for the recording, right? If you've taken care of this, if the deep layer has been solved, then technically the superficial and the symptom issues would also resolve. So therefore you won't need the recording anymore, right? So, an example for this is, let's use the same example. Maybe that same client who wants to put themselves out there and be visible, maybe the root core issue that you found within your session is that they don't want to be seen as too much or selfish by their family or friends, right? And so because of that, they're not putting themselves out there because of that fear of judgment or rejection or whatever it is that you find within your sessions. And so if you allow that client to shift that fear of rejection, that fear of judgment, and whatever it is that their root cause is, once you actually help them resolve that, do you really need a recording, right? Because how the mind works, it the mind is intelligent, that, right? And so I like to think about it this way, as a wound, right? I used to be a nurse, so wound care is it's very interesting, because when you cut yourself right here, so for example, you cut yourself with a knife right here, and it's very deep, and it's like an inch deep. How that wound, obviously there's going to, you kind of want to staple that shit, right? You got to suture it, or you got to staple it, whatever it is, so that protective barrier is in place, so that no foreign body or bacteria can get into that wound to get it infected. So that barrier is there just for protection. But if that wound is an inch deep, how the body, which is subconscious in action, how the body heals this is through the deep layer up, right? And so it goes from, like, say this is an inch, this is how deep it is, this is the superficial layer of the skin, this is how deep that wound is. How the body heals is that it heals down here first, and then it goes up like this until it goes to that superficial layer. And if that wound is sutured well, if it didn't get infected or was treated, and and the skin was actually allowed to grow in place, in the right place, then the scarring would be minimal, right? If anything, that's how wounds get healed. It's the same thing for our clients' subconscious issues. If we get to the deep layer, then the mind will know exactly what to do to help those superficial layers to shift as well. That's its job. That's how it works, right? And so if you heal this deep layer during your sessions, you don't need to change the band-aid all the time, right? Like, that's what the recording is, just changing the band-aid back and forth. You don't need to do that. You've got the steri strip on top. That shit lasts for like 7 days, right? You don't need to keep reapplying that band-aid over and over again every day with a recording, because you are just allowing the mind to do what it does best. And again, this kind of goes back to the whole time thing, right? Everyone is time poor, right? You are time poor. Your clients are going to be time poor. And if given a choice, your clients would rather not listen to a recording, just because they'd rather spend their time elsewhere in the beginning of the day or the end of the day, right? Use their own routine instead of listening to someone else's voice. So, those are definitely my thoughts on that. This is the best approach that I would recommend. Really talk to your clients first, and then be objective with this. You're not gonna, you probably didn't like what I said, but these are cold, hard facts and truth. Right. Look at how effective your recordings actually are. Look at the compliance level for your clients, and have these conversations with them as to whether or not um, the recording actually worked. And another thing that just popped into my mind, what recordings do is because it's mostly relaxation. I'm going to challenge your thinking on this, right? I'm going to challenge your thinking about recordings. When you have a hypnosis recording and your clients are listening to it, you have put in some relaxation techniques in there, whether it be a body scan. It's very meditative, right? You're asking them to go down the stairs, pretend that they're in a beach somewhere, make them visualize happy things, and that relaxes them. That helps them regulate their nervous system, which is super duper important, right? That is very important. That's why meditation exists, and that's why it's good for the client. And so I would challenge your thinking here. So is the recording helping your clients because they used to be super up here, hyper vigilant, anxious, and very much wired. And now by listening to the recording, they're actually regulating their nervous system, which is what relaxation practices will do. Is it there? Do they feel better because of that aspect of nervous system regulation? Or is the recording actually rewiring their subconscious? Who knows, right? But what I can tell you, and my best bet is that it's through the nervous system regulation effect of having a recording, the fact that they're actually relaxed and taking time for themselves and slowing down, which is why they feel better, they feel relaxed. But just because you're relaxed doesn't mean that you're rewiring your subconscious. For example, I'm sure that watching a TV show that you like is very relaxing and even therapeutic for you. So is it the relaxation that helped you feel better? Probably, right? It's not, you're not rewiring yourself just because you're relaxed, right? You're like in a sauna, maybe relaxed, or you're floating in a float tank. And unless you have a pure intention as to what you're doing while you're relaxed and actually turning your focus inwards, then unless you're focusing inwards, then are you really rewiring your subconscious? Just something to think about, right? It's just something to challenge your thinking because, obviously relaxation helps drown the conscious mind, which can get in the way, which is absolutely true. The conscious mind can get in the way of really looking into what's going on subconsciously, but it's not the only way to get rid of the conscious mind. There's many different ways. And is it through the fact that your clients are more regulated in their nervous system that they feel better about their problem, they feel less anxious, or did you rewire it? That's just something that you really want to objectively think about in your recordings, because I mean, I let go and ditched all the recordings and all the scripts a long time ago because I did look at my clients objectively. There was not a lot of compliance with my recordings and not enough proof that the recordings were helping. How my clients were getting results was through the one-to-one interactions with me, not the recordings. So I decided to ditch all that, all the recordings, because it didn't work anyway. And instead, I just focused my attention on one-to-one actual support um, of giving my clients transformations through that. So those are the things that you want to think about. I know that this was a bit long, but it's really important to talk about, because if you can save time for yourself and your clients, why wouldn't you, right? So I hope this helps. Any question below or any thoughts, let me know, and I will see you soon.